Okay, this is the second part of the tutorial on making a 2.5D effect inside of Flash. So previously I set the Z position of the sky layer to 400, and what I'm going to do is in turn I'm going to select each of the other layers. So next will be the St. Paul's layer, and I'm going to set the Z axis for that object too. Okay, so the position of St. Paul's is closer to us than the sky, so I'm going to set that to 300, and you'll see it gets smaller there because it's been pushed back and it gets smaller due to the perspective. Next I'm going to select the Thames layer, which is this bunch of buildings here, and I'm going to place that a little bit closer to us than St. Paul's, so it's going to be at 200. Okay, and the remainder of the layers, that's the bridge and the people, they're all set to 0. I'm just going to leave them at that. I'm not going to make any changes to those layers. Okay, so at frame number 25 in the animation, so after 1 second, I'm going to insert some keyframes. So I'm just selecting those frames, and I can right click and choose insert keyframe, or I can press F6 on my keyboard to do that, because that's the position where the animation is actually going to start. And it's going to last for about 2 seconds, so I'm going to insert some frames at frame number 5. So I'll either right click and choose insert frame, or I can press F5 on my keyboard. Okay, so frame 25 is the start of the animation, and frame 75 is where it ends. Okay, so I'm making sure I've got frame number 75 selected. Then I'm going to choose the free transform tool, and I'm going to select all of the objects that are on the screen here. And whilst holding down Alt and Shift on my keyboard, I'm going to drag this out and just enlarge everything that's on the screen. Okay, and when I play that back, you should see this kind of 2.5D motion effect. Okay, like we're kind of zooming in across this bridge. The objects closest to us are getting bigger, and you can also kind of see this perspective effect as well. And the buildings further away from us kind of disappear behind the ones that are gradually getting closer. Okay, now I'd like that animation to pause at the end, so maybe about frame 110 I'm going to insert some frames again. So the animation is initially paused for a second or so, then it plays, and then it pauses. Now, to improve the effect of the 2.5D, what I could also do is I could blur some of the objects as they come closer to us. So I'm going to go to frame number 75, which is the end of the animated sequence, and I'm going to select the man here. And over on the right hand side in the properties panel, I'm going to go to the filters section here, and I'm going to apply a blur filter to them. So choose blur, and I'll maybe set that to about 10, and you see he's blurred out completely. Okay, but then I'm going to go back to frame number 25, which is the start of the animation, and set the blur to 0, because I don't want him to be blurred at the start of the animation. And I'll do the same on frame number 1, make sure that that is set to 0. Now let me just play that back for you so you can see the result. So the man's not blurred at the moment, but as we kind of zoom in, he starts to blur out. Now I want to do the same with all the other objects that are in the foreground. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll select, again, frame number 75, I'll select the couple here, apply a blur filter to them, maybe not quite so high this time because they're a little bit further away from us. Let's say apply, say, 8 pixel blur, and then at frame number 25 I want to make sure that that is set to 0, and also in frame number 1 as well. Okay, setting the blur back to 0. Now we'd also want to do something similar with the bridge here as well. So let's just select the bridge in frame number 75, apply a blur filter, maybe make this about 8 as well. Okay, and then making sure that in frame number 25 the blur is set to 0, and also in frame number 1 the blur is set to 0. Okay, so let's see that whole thing, that whole sequence. Okay, so that's quite a nice effect. That's how to do a simple 2.5D pseudo 3D effect inside of Flash using the Z axis and the blur filters.